Do have 6 o'clock. We'll call the January meeting of the Budget and Finance together. Hopefully everyone saw the message that we were changing locations due to some issues, it sounds like. First off, opening our meeting, looking at your minutes, next pages 2 and 3, actually 2, 3, and 4, cover the minutes from the November meeting. Are there any questions, concerns, changes? I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as written. Any discussion on that?
I got one question. What did we obligate to item on this thing?
So Mr. Ford, we learned that we do have a little more time with those ARPA funds, so they are not allocated.
No obligation.
That's correct. No obligations. They're not sitting anywhere. I do have a motion and a second on the minutes as written. All those in favor, let me know by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? It does pass. Next up, looking at second quarter of your purchasing. Part of our subcommittee of this, if you will. Just by way of reminder, purchasing, that's myself, Bubba Gregory, Beverly Atwood, Will Dennis, and Jerry Ford that will be voting on this portion. It's a 5-member by statute.
It's all one uniform from dogs. That grant to get that mental health grant. They just get some of that. We bought from the guy that we got on there. I think they go pretty extended with those.
Mr. Gregory, that. I think the question, did the price go up on those? Was the price increased on those? Is that what I understood your question to be?
It was up in the second quarter compared to what it's been, but he said it's something about the grant.
That mental health grant, we don't spend it, we lose it. So they say we're able to buy soft clothing with it, so I bought them off that. Plus I got some belts and gear stuff.
Any other line items of discussion?
Looks like the institutional wholesale is way up too. I guess both prices. That institutional wholesale, 17,000, 7,000 per
Our blue budget is way out.
Wow.
So is that due to an increase in?
They keep going up. Every time we do an order, everything's going up.
I think I'd also remind you that was Q1 didn't have July. Is that correct?
Some line items in July, I'm not sure.
Very few line items in Q1 have a July piece to it.
One time I was getting all our bread for free. We go to the Fed, pick it up. I might go up there and get 200 loaves for free. And that, they're not able to get that anymore. That saved us a bunch of money in the past. I was doing that for about 3 years.
Anyone with any other items of discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I got one question, I think I know, but I wanted to ask, purchase property, is that in front of the jail? That's the fourth one there on the top.
East Main. Donald Allen Taylor, that piece of property here on East Main.
That's what I think, but I'm sure.
That is the, you're talking about the tract of land here up across from the current, from the jail. Yes.
Motion approved. That what you need?
I would entertain from our purchasing committee a motion to approve purchases as seen. I have a motion to approve in a second. Motion by Bubba Gregory, second by Beverly Atwood. Any discussion further? If not, all those in favor, let me know by stating aye that are in that committee. Aye. If you will, our next item on our, on our agenda for tonight. Trustees cash balance. Your trial balance, on page 6. Any discussion from the trial balance, page 6?
Good question. Are the, CD interest rates are they updating on this form? Have they matured or are these rates dated or is this still what we're using?
I will have to check with Cindy on that. Did I hear you state, are the CD CD rates, that we're seeing, interest rates, are these interest rates updating or are they staying?
Are they current to what those assets dropped?
Gotcha. I will get that answer back to you. Any other questions on trial balance? If not, moving. I feel fine, I promise y'all. This thing just won't go away. It just keeps on giving. Comparison sheet, page 7. For property tax, for your revenues and your expenses. For each of the funds, the 101, 111, 116, 118, 131, and 151. Sort of give you an idea where you are through December. Any questions there? If not, moving on. 101. Looking first at your revenues. 101 revenues run through page 10, at the top of the page. Line items there as you want to check through. Reminding everyone that should be through the 6th month. Approximately 50%. The additional breakdown just tells you where paychecks were at that point in time with employees.
One question, these there were. I guess 6, I noted that were, that from a percentage standpoint, that seemed to be considerably under the 50% mark. Just gonna ask about those.
All right, well, a number?
Page 8,
Can you go with a number?
yeah, I'll get to that. 4130, Beaufort Master Collections.
41, 130?
Yeah, 4130, sorry.
4130. So collections is what you're saying in this case?
Yes, sir.
I think.
That's your court systems, and that's just past dues that aren't coming in.
On the same page, 4250 and 4260, litigation tax, both one at 34%, one at 35%. They're considerably low.
That's gonna fall back into courts again. So I think you're gonna see a similar reasoning there in this case. Now, why that those are falling behind? Go ahead.
Filing fees and things of that nature, litigation tax, it's just how many cases are filed. It's a lot of that.
So we're seeing fewer court cases so far. You would think.
That's what that indicates to me.
All right, on page 9, 45, 510, county clerk office at 32%. And also, I guess, and 45, 540, general sessions court clerk at 36%. I guess that's probably.
One piece, 45, 510. Of course, that's collection on vehicles, things of that nature. More of your vehicles in the past, we've looked at that piece, are purchased after income tax come back, federal income tax come in. So you might likely see an uptick in that one somewhere in that February, March through April timeframe. That's when, for whatever reason it is, more are purchased. We've looked at that one in the past.
Okay, the last one.
And you do have to realize, I will state this, that's are more new vehicles being purchased. I think if you go look at lots today, they're setting full. So I think you can also see that there is a slowdown. I think our lots are telling us that. So
Last one I was gonna ask about was 46,190, other general government grants. Is there some particular we're expecting to?
grant expected to come in.
I think, and I'm probably going to be wrong, I'm pretty sure that is the remaining amount of our parks grant that we just have not asked for reimbursement for, because we have not expended that yet.
Okay. Okay.
Not a guarantee, but
Well, that makes sense. Like I said, those are just ones that stood out as considerably under that 50% mark. So I wanted to ask. Thank you.
any others in the 101? On the revenues side. On a positive note of that, even though they're a little under, the revenues are coming in at 47.8%, which at this time, with property tax being a large portion, is a pretty good piece. You've only had your main portion of your property tax is going to hopefully finish up in February. So we're approaching that time frame where we would expect that one to be a little under at this time. Unfortunately, there are none that are just extremely over in the revenue side right now. I do think it's important to note that as it appears, things are getting a little tighter. Some of those pieces that are extras that have been really nice coming in seem to be a little tighter. Expenditures on the 101. As noted here in this case a minute ago, your revenues are sitting at 47.8%. For the 101, your expenditures are at 36.4. It's always great to see that our revenues are outrunning our expenditures. Those two are in the right order, not imbalanced. Any discussion? Next page, page 12 has your breakdown of the 101 of what portions of the sheriff's department, comes from 101. And what line items those are in. If there's no discussion there. Might note, I think, Sheriff Russell has, gotten a full crew. It seems like, I believe is what he told us last time. Maybe,
One guy go to the academy.
okay.
I thought they were gonna waive it because he's already a police officer somewhere else. But he's already told.
Well, there we go, but still full, relatively full. The reason I was mentioning that is our overtime is at a much better place. Yes, sir. Urban service. Again, might mention here in this case, that generally, even though property tax is showing pretty strong there in this case. Generally, the majority of that, the rest of those pieces come in a little late.
And those like those get under, they're paying the tuition now for all the officers. So it's not costing us anything to send them to the academy.
Which would also mean it's probably harder to get in.
Last time we paid was like $3,200. So it saved us that much money.
So it's good to hear.
Just like the SRO.
Again, in the 111 here, you see 17.5% on the revenue side. On the expenditure side, a little higher at 0.3%.
That grant, Bill, what's got that skewed?
Yes,
I was just about to say this, the 46,980.
That don't look good.
The 46,980 is $2 million of a $3 million, 3.9 million. So it's 50% of that line of that revenue number. So technically the 3/4 of those are grants. That one is way skewed based on those pieces. Any discussion? If not, back to that page. Yes, sir.
On 41, 140, we budget 65,000. This says March, is that when that'll come in, Amy? This is assuming it didn't come in.
I see 140 budgeted at 21,000.
Mhm.
Is that the one we're talking about in March? Building permits is 41,520 at 65,
I'm talking about 41, 140.
at 21,000.
That's what we budgeted. You got that.
That's a one-time fee though. It comes in March, Sarah.
Mhm. It's budgeted for 21,000 and has not come in yet. It won't come in until March. So you won't see it until the April meeting.
Is that the one you're referencing? Similar to the 35,000 at 4290. The 35,000 says that you will see that in May. So in other words, that's gonna always show a skew.
We went 46, 490, same way. We got 679,900 budgeted. We ain't got any of it in. I don't know what time of year it'll come. Hopefully it will.
Well, it's a grant.
17.5, so.
It's a grant, yes, sir.
Yeah.
That one and also your 46,980.
Mhm.
Yes, sir. Grants there don't have a necessarily a date. I guess that we know those are coming in. So we just know we have been awarded those grants. They could carry over into next year's. Page 14 is your sheriff's department out of the 111. Yes, sir. What page are we on?
Back on 13, urban services, one question on the expended, waste pickup, where it's 64.7 of the expenditure. At this point in the years, just. We're picking up that much.
I believe that also includes the truck.
That's what I was about to say. There was a large purchase,
Okay.
300,000 of a truck.
Okay.
Yep. You got it out before. I got it out. Headed in the same direction. Are we ready to move to 116? Everybody seems good with 111. Okay. 116, solid waste. I think you'll see that, in this case here, your revenue's running at 64.8%, expenditures at 33%. You'll notice there's no grant setting on top of here or anything. Everything's rolling along, as we would hope right now. Any discussions, 116? If not, 118, looking at your ambulance service, budgeted revenues showing at 63.9%. Budgeted expenditures with your breakdown on expenditures over the next two pages are at 44.9%. Pages 17 and 18 do show your breakdown on the expenditure side of the ambulance department.
So along last several years.
It does, it looks really, really in a better spot, right now. We'll take the positive. Don't forget, we've also added a lot of money to it in the last 2 years. It did grow at a rate of a little over 98% in 4 years' time. I still like the positive. It looks good. We're not using part-time personnel and overtime is well managed, under 50%. I don't think we have any individuals looking at making extreme amounts of money. I don't want that comment to be taken off the cuff. There were some individuals in that piece that worked very hard to make sure that we had coverage. And I appreciate them doing what they did. It just caused a large amount of overtime in that piece. 121, pass-through money, core civic dollars. 122, county drug, not pass through sheriff's department. It's sort of, you never know where this one's gonna run. It is based on what happens. Any discussion? If not, 127. That's your American Rescue. 127, 128, pages 21 and 22 are what's setting an American Rescue Plan.
Roughly $450,000 that we haven't done any.
Well put. You're talking about the fund balance of that,
Yeah.
the remaining balance
Yeah.
of those two. Yes, that's correct. Any further discussion? If not, 151 debt service. Revenues for debt service at 57.6%, where expenditures are at 35.6. Of course, there's a couple of those in expenditures that are gonna come out as fixed costs. I believe one of those is in May.
Mhm.
Couple of those that are not touched at all are one-time payments. Just a reminder, that's why you'll see 0% on those. Doesn't mean we're getting out of paying it. Any discussion, 151? I will say in the 151, it's nice to see the income, that 40,000 on investments. I think that's a strong use of the dollars there. Let them go to work for us while we are in that place. If not, any further discussion there, 171 capital projects. reminder that this is the $300,000 that comes in annually. I think that's a July payment from Core City. That was the contract negotiation, which I believe is up for renegotiation starting pretty soon. Renegotiation was is 2025.
It is.
2025. The dollars that have been spent out there, that's that 140 you spoke of earlier that Donahoe Taylor and Taylor purchased, the land that was purchased.
Money went through.
I think it's smart to note here, that money was not spent when it was not bought, the property was not bought from Donahoe Taylor and Taylor. They were the legal means of that piece. If that makes sense. They handled the dollars to the private sale.
Negotiate hard.
I would hope that is going to be taking place. I think our sheriff has been hopefully keeping up with costs that have been entailed due to having to pick up inmates, number of movements he's had to use by what the prison has cost our law enforcement in terms of prisoner intakes. Fortunately, he's letting known that he's got enough colleagues in the business that have taken a little larger, that have been able to take on some of our prisoners for us, that would be our prisoners. But there are still costs with transporting those and things. Might be important for our EMS department as well to find out what number of time is being spent at Core City. Just thoughts. 131. Highway fund, it's not, the county gives 100,000 of this, 112,000, I guess there's what the county budgets to this fund. Highway department does a really good job of taking care of their roadways. I think, does really well with his money. Expenditures 28.9%, I'm sorry, 25.4%, while revenues are at 28.9%. Any questions? If not, I would entertain a motion from the committee to accept the numbers as given from the financial statements. That'd be item 4, trustees cash balance, and the financial summaries from December 2024. I have a motion for Mr. Gregory, second from Mr. Ford. Any discussion? And there were 2 items that I will get back to you on as stated in that piece. All those in favor, let me know by stating aye. Any opposed with a nay? It is approved. We have a couple of, all right, I meant to ask this the other day.
Reserving.
Okay, there we go. I was not sure what R was. I'm not gonna lie to you. I meant to ask this thing the other day. Coming out of a reserve fund. That's a reserve is what, so 101, 10R opioid abatement contribution, 75,000 is coming out of a reserve. What vote does that entail? Any changes?
Okay.
Does that require anything, especially when they're in anything different? Does R make anything?
No.
Okay.
Unless, well, we won't have electronic voting this time, so it will be a roll call vote.
Okay, there we go. That's what kind of where I said, that will have to be a roll call vote at the night of. I'm just making sure that we're where we are. That's where I was, sorry. Didn't use the wordage. I'm not gonna meant to.
I have a question because I don't think anyone here could answer this. I think, the part of that that's designated to Haven House, if memory serves, they did not take course, or you had to sign up actually for their program, I guess. Do we know if the people there are actually are we actually supporting Brazos County people, or are they bringing in people from wherever to?
I can answer that question.
Okay.
They serve regionally. I can tell you right now that there are several courts that use it through recovery court. Some of them may be folks that, it depends. They could be somebody from Smith County, they could be somebody from Brazos County, Macon, and could even be from across the state. And so they are a facility that serves your community, but it's also regionally as well. So I'm well familiar with that program, using it several times.
You know, if any of the other communities are contributing anything to it. I
Not
know
that,
we got a store in Lebanon, one in Carthage.
I think they had one at Lafayette maybe one time, or maybe Gallatin, I'm not sure,
I don't know about those two.
but they use that as a work program to fund a lot of it, so they're giving back.
I'm familiar with the program. They do a good job with it.
to the-
They don't put up
This
with
is
it.
the
They
opioid
don't
abatement money that we've been
stay
receiving for the past
doing
3
what they
years.
tell them to do.
It has to go to
Go.
specific
It's
needs.
100% spot on.
But do you know if any of the
So
other
this is me.
communities are helping them?
No, but I think you having said that, it probably needs to, so, particularly Smith and Macon, because both of them have recovery courts that supply that. And I've got a bit of input on that, so that's on my next to-do list. I'll look into that. I agree.
Simple we can.
Speak to that just a minute.
Yes, sir.
The task force that started out as the mayor's task force, which is kind of taking on a life of its own now, it's being headed up by Greg Clements. One of their goals is to start a recovery court here in Brazos County. Haven House made a presentation to that committee this past week, and they are hardliners and do a great job. They really follow through. As a matter of fact, several of their patients get their first job here with the printing company here in town. And they follow through, and once they start to leave the program, they don't charge rent until they get to the end of the program, but then they charge $600 a month rent to get them acclimated to paying something on a regular basis. And then after 3 months, they give that money back to them to give them a start. So it's a very concentrated program and does a great job. I know Smith County does it. And I think that opioid money a certain amount has to be spent by the end of February. So that's one of the reasons we're working with both those people.
So maybe some new learning, the reason it's coming to you right now. Some of this money has to be distributed by February. There is more in this reserve account, but a portion, this amount, at least 65,000, I believe is what I understood, has to be spent by the end of February. So that's where this decision has come from.
Mr. Chairman.
Mhm.
That being said, the wording in the purpose, should that be February of 25?
I was just about to say the same thing. I think the 24 is an incorrect number. It's hard to put that new number on there. Move to recommend approval, have a motion and a second. Any discussion further? If not, all those in favor of recommending approval, let me know by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? It is favorable. The next, that G 10111G grant, safety and fire grant. You see the use there in this case. Fire department has received the TNRMT safety grant to purchase 2 sets of turnout gear. Have a motion and a second. Motion by Mr. Gregory, second by Ms. Atwood to approve. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye. Any opposed? It is favorable. 10112 insurance recovery. We had a patrol car that appears to find its way into a deer. Insurance recovery. You go. Motion to approve. I have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second? Mr. Gregory with a second. Chris Gregory, sorry, and Bubba Gregory. Got to remember to do those that way. Any discussion further? If not, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye. Any opposed? It is favorable. Interesting days. The next one is the TISA bonuses, 14106, 141 referencing schools, TISA, Tennessee Investment in Student Achievement. It was the new formula that took place 2 years ago, I believe, when it came back into place. I can't remember. I think it was 2 years ago. That number changed, or our name changed, different formula, funding formula. Debt revenue is 158,400, as you see there in this case. Looking to play regular instruction program, education incentive, 158,480. Any questions, discussions? So TISA is the state funded formula. Yes, sir. It was a basic education program. That's great. I think it was 2 years ago, TISA. We got a presentation on TISA in here. I believe it was 2 years ago. Okay. Yeah, time gets away quick, so. Motion to approve. Second by Mr. Ford. Any discussion?
One question. Is it possible to get from Dr. Satterfield if it just says, for the street compensation bonuses, yes, we'd like to make. And then I don't know if we can, but myself, I'd like to see, okay, make sure the teachers are getting roughly around the same amounts, make sure it's balanced out in that regard.
If I understand you're asking, did the teachers did the teachers receive 158,480 is what I think I just.
I'm guessing, okay. We have
It's student outcomes bonuses.
Yeah, I guess I'm asking, is there a way to break down? Okay,
I think I get what you're asking. We cannot require them to break down what teacher got what and how much was spent where, but this is saying that it went to the student outcome bonuses. I can give you some breakdowns.
Okay.
All teachers in our state, in our county, 100% are on the alternative compensation bonus program. So that's a portion of that is what it's saying, but it would have gone to any and all teachers that scored. If you go back and look at last month's, for example, or the December meeting from the Board of Education, you will find the rubric for what it took to get those bonuses and how much was able to be accomplished. If you go back to the November meeting, you will see what teachers, not by teacher name, but how much a teacher at each school would have received.
okay,
You can do that.
okay, that's the information I was asking, if it's possible for us to get.
You could go back and look there
Okay.
and know what a teacher would have received. So a teacher at the elementary school may have received less or more than a teacher at, say, the high school or the middle. That is based on how many of those. So the middle school has 13 areas to strive for. If you receive each of those 13, there's a $3,000 $2,500. I should know that a little better right now, but I'm not looking at that rubric. $2,500 or $3,500. I can't remember which one it is. Available. I'm pretty sure it's $3,500 if you hit each of those. Okay. So that's where that is coming from. But you could go back and look and see what each teacher would have received at the school, basically. Yep. Glad to help. Better take a vote. I did have a motion by Ms. Atwood, a second by Mr. Ford to approve. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye. Aye. It is favorable. Oh, any opposed? I should go there. It was 100%, I thought. No, yeah, I didn't see anymore. Okay, 14101, special education reimbursement. Special education grants to the state. So as you can see, some grants that have come in paying some special education teachers in locations. Also transportation. Got a motion to approve by Chris Gregory and a second by Bubba Gregory. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, let me know by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? It is favorable. The next one's a little smaller in print. Want me to wear my glasses. Next one, 14108, education incentives. As you'll look, regular education, program, budget transfers, from education incentive fund, transfer of $31,892 from 71,100 to multiple teacher categories. And you see those next categories listed. This is a movement of $48,538. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, nope, don't have a motion. Do I need a motion to approve first? I have a motion by Mr. Gregory to approve. I have a second by Ms. Atwood. Any discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by stating aye. Any opposed? It is favorable. 14109, U-Trust funding. $5,500. You'll see here regular instruction program revenue in the amount of $5,500 from the U-Trust for employment appreciation program and summer learning and camp incentives. I have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, let me know by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? It is favorable. I believe that brings us to the end of our item 5 on budget amendments. The next item on our budget is looking at the impact fees. I did ask, it was brought up, did we want to bring this in? I do apologize, I missed the what's the name now? It used to be steering committee. It used to be executives. I've changed his names around here. The steering committee, I believe it was asked. I had a ball game that night. Sorry, I couldn't be there. I do think, and I did have a reason I asked for it to come this direction. Just does anybody want to discuss in peace manner? This is coming to us. And I believe the authors, or is it authored? It doesn't have this author, but it's coming out of, they didn't stamp it as being, it's recommended by them on the one we've got here. So that's why I was saying it is or is not finalized.
It is.
It is finalized and recommended by Codes and Zoning. Okay. It's not stamped on what we got in front of us, with a name or anything from Codes and Zoning, dated on or anything like that. That's just the reason I'm mentioning it that way. Anyone here having, from the committee having discussion here? This is not the discussion on this piece. This is the reason I brought it to budget. That will come up tonight in the work session portion when we're talking public. So I'm talking inside the committee right now. Just being clear. One reason I myself asked to bring this here is in this, I see no mention of where the funds are being allocated. And I thought that was something budget finance ought to look at. That's the reason I asked for it to come here. Now, this is a large change from 1,500 to 5,000, $3,500 increase. And currently, since 2016, so prior to 2016, impact fees such as these went into the education department for increased needs. In 2016, under Mayor Carmen, that was removed and is going into the department here, which would be under our code, under our building inspectors line item. Her line item. It shows up in her line item. It does, which is at the end, if it's not used, goes into general services. However, that's also been the justification for, hey, they've made this amount of money in there. Look, they're making 150,000. Why not pay this person this amount? I'm just bringing out those pieces. That's also why we added 2 positions in the past to that place. So I want to bring out the clarity here in those pieces is what I'm here to do. Okay, it does go into right now. The impact fee goes into that line. Is everybody clear?
Which one?
It would go into the building inspector, into the, what's the line number? I don't know the line number. I can't think of the term.
Are you saying that it's,
It goes into that program, not building inspector, but goes into that
well,
department.
there's planning, so you're saying that revenue counteract the expense of planning? It's, I'm trying to make sure.
It directly goes into that department is where it shows. Folks, planning, if I can't think of the term on it, I'll give it to you in a minute, but it goes directly into that. It's where we've seen it go for the last, since 2016, whatever that office code line is, that's correct. It's where, now, if it's not spent, it rolls into general fund. Is everybody clear there? But there is nothing, the reason I wanted this to come before this committee is there is nothing in here about where this increased revenue is going, what it's allocated for. And folks, I'm just gonna be straight with you. In a little bit of time I'll spend in the commission. If there's no plan on where money's going, it gets wasted. There needs to be a reason and allocation.
That's a large amount of money that'll be going.
I would give you, if you don't mind coming to the podium.
So our understanding, looking at the time it was amended in 2018, then it stated that it was going into the general fund. And so general fund would be any service, police, ambulance. It can't go to the water department directly because of the separation, but it can go to schools. And so by going into the general fund, it can then be allocated as budget and finance, the full commission thought fit to allocate those funds, as they do with all of them. So that was why we didn't add anything, but it was also the reason why we all thought in agreement that it should come before budget and finance, because that is part of your purview of setting the budget of how that needs to be allocated.
Because they got stated to us, this is the thing that makes
It's
this.
like say last year, our impact fee brought in X amount. If we raise it, we estimate it would bring in however much more. Do we have an estimate in that regard?
We weren't looking at it in that way. We weren't looking at it as a way to raise extra money per se, as it was to mitigate some extra growth we were having so we can catch up our infrastructure to our growth. We've had 13% growth since 2018 when we moved this up. We're still way behind every surrounding county. Everyone else is at that, for a 2,000 square foot home, they're all kind of at that 5,000. As you see on the back page of your packet, that's the information Rosalie found for us as far as the surrounding county. Lebanon does or Wilson County, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say Lebanon. Wilson County does a full flat $5,000 for all residential. Macon County on the other hand does a $2.50 per square foot. So the bigger you build, the more you pay. It was discussed during the back and forth on how we should, do that was, well, the impact to the county is pretty much the same. A 3-bedroom house, and whether it's 1,200 square foot or whether it's 6,000 square foot, it's still a 3-bedroom house, still the same amount of people, same impact on the services of the county. So it was looked at that point as just make it a flat fee like Wilson County does for residential. And that just brings us up on par with everyone else. We were also looking, there's discussions at at least 3 of the surrounding counties, they're wanting to raise theirs again. So once again, we'll still be behind them, but we thought any further than catching up with everyone else would be excessive.
Well, the reason for my question, obviously we're staring down and I'm still gonna be trying to figure out hopefully this year how to build a jail. So putting some of that into the 171 capital projects fund might not be the worst idea in the world. But I mean, if we thought, okay, we estimate this might double our revenue, do we take 40 or 50% and put into wherever we wanted to designate?
And we were literally just looking at the legalities of how much we could and how the process needed to go forward of increasing the impact fee. And then we were looking at, okay, so once we know how we can legally do it, well, then what should that amount be? And that's what we were trying to determine there as far as where it needs to be spent. I think that's the body of the full commission. I think that goes above, and all we could do is give suggestions of a handful of members.
Okay, one other question, of course, commercial has the minimum plus a 50%. There's no plus or anything on the residential or industrial. So industrial, it's 7,500 no matter what you build?
I would like to steer this back to a different discussion. I asked for this discussion to come before this committee for the discussion of where are we allocating the funds that come from this piece. I think that's where this discussion needs to take place. I'm not saying the discussion you're having is not important, but I think that takes place in a different meeting. That's all I'm saying in this case. Let me bring that back to, let's bring it back to the table. This thing can get way outside of itself. The purpose and goal I had for bringing this before Budget and Finance, who we're meeting as right now, is to look at, there's no allocations within this fund of where these dollars are headed. As I stated, when the impact fee first started in Trousdale County at $1,500, that started to go to schools. I know I work for the school system. I'm not sitting here setting allocations for the schools. It's not what I'm sitting here asking to do. I'm saying we need to look at allocating where the money is going to go. It was removed in 2016 from schools. I would still say that it affects lots of areas. I would say schools are still one of those areas that are affected. I'm not saying that's not what I'm sitting here saying about the allocation. I'm saying we need to take a look in budget finance. I don't think this is done tonight, but I think we need to be looking at where we're going is what I'm saying to you. And you need to think of where we're looking at allocating these funds. If they, in my opinion, and I've been strong on this opinion since getting on, if we just put funds to go somewhere, they're going into a general fund, they're going to go away. You won't realize you spent them. It's just like dipping your hand in the piggy bank all the time. If we're putting them somewhere, we can make a dent in things we're looking to make a dent in. I think we've done a really good job in the county in our debts at this time. We know we have debts facing us. Let's be smart with what we're doing with our money. My whole purpose was, if we're going to raise something, that part can be discussed later. What's changing, what's moving, that's a later discussion. Whatever ends up, if something ends up, where are we looking at allocating those funds? Okay. Mr. Ford.
I look at this two or three different ways. First of all, I think it's totally unfair. Somebody built 1,500.
Mr. Ford, if I may stop you, I want our discussion in this committee to only be on looking at allocations of these funds. That discussion is important, but in a later meeting.
Yeah, I'll go back to what I said earlier. Before then, I'd like to at least see a portion of it go into 171.
I think that's the things we need to be talking about in this committee. What are we talking about going and where? Right? Revenues it's going to generate, and it's 2.5 times its size that it's currently bringing in. Let's understand small numbers there. It brings in 1,500, 3,500 on top of that, makes the 5,000. It's looking at least at that minimum. Understanding that there is additional funds coming in. Where are they going? One of those I understood maybe the 171 capital projects, which is already a fund that's sitting there for us. And I would say that in capital projects, if we wanted to allocate for something in capital projects, it can be done, or it can just be setting in capital projects.
We already this ordinance here. If we pass it, it goes into effect immediately.
I do not disagree with that at all, sir. Yes, sir.
So I think you need to open up more discussion when we go do with it.
I think that's why we're not for budget and finance. I think that's for a different committee, for our commission, not for here.
So if you recommend from our committee tonight, that if we do it, pass it to list, but it goes to impact fee?
I would say that's definitely a place we could say that it goes to 171 capital projects that
We'll keep putting it off. We need to make a decision on it.
that's why I said that it needs to come before budget and finance.
Do it or not, I mean.
I would say 171, 151.
100% with where you're at.
You make a motion, we in favor of this, that it goes to 171 fund.
All of it? Or why not
All
do
of
half,
it.
half to each? Are you just the increase?
So I'm saying, I don't know. That's what.
I mean, all of it's going to codes and zone, the codes office now, right?
It shows up as looking like a revenue coded office. It does go, and that's why I say that with that piece. Every time we've been asked, hey, what does this office make? They'll present it as this office makes this amount. Where's that money coming off of? Impact fees. Okay,
And so that it shows on her revenue that it's.
that's what. However, she's still getting paid out of general fund. Or when I say she, that office, those offices are getting paid out of general fund. I believe it still has two assistants under it. They're just not hired. I believe that.
Probably keeping up in the general fund, whether code went to fund that office, but then the remainder. Well, 171, 151, and if there's another.
I mean, I think it should be one of the things.
We did it. I agree 100%. They're trying to keep that.
Exactly right.
But I hate to keep putting this off since they put this in front of us. I mean, we can keep on continuing. I mean,
I mean, I think it's something very important of a discussion. That's why I thought it needed to go before budget and finance. I would entertain a motion at this time.
Looking at take the increase and apply it to 171 or capital outlays.
so you more or less approving the 5,000, the 4-day structure is. They would recommend it or not.
I am-
Just recommend where it goes.
We
We're
just
just
recommended where it
designating
goes.
where it goes.
Okay.
I will second Mr. Dennis's.
I want to be very clear that we're talking here. I heard or, so I'm not ready to take that as a motion. Sorry, Mr.
171 capital outlays.
The increase of impact fee, whatever that ends up at, is going to be put into 171 capital outlays. Does everyone hear what we just, that motion that was made? Whatever that increase, did I hear that motion correctly? We're making a motion from budget and finance that whatever gets decided on as the increase. We're not talking about $3,500. We're talking about the increase. Is everybody clear with that? That whatever that increase is above $1,500 will move into capital outlays. Did everyone hear that motion as stated? I had motion and second by Ms. Beverly Atwood. Are we all clear with the motion that we're talking about? This is not a approval of, or we're on board with the presented plan at this point. We are just talking about from budget and finance position, we are saying that this money needs to be sent into this location. If passed. That's correct.
We take the increase and apply it.
And that's where it's to be designated.
Designated to the 171 capital outlays. Is everybody on par with what we're saying here? Any clarifications needed? Have a motion and second to that motion, to that favor? Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion as stated, let it be known by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? That part is favorable. I will be very clear in my discussion on that, I promise. We are at that portion. I gotta take some notes.
He's back on track on that. Mr. Chairman.
I want y'all to know, I'm not trying to get folks off. That discussion can go in the wrong direction. I'm for this committee, just being clear. Hang on, just a second. I'm with you, but just a second. Are there any other items that want to be brought before us? We do. Any public comments at this time? Everybody's pretty quiet. Motion to adjourn, I would take now. I do have a motion by Mr. Gregory Boba and a second by Mr. Gregory Chris. We are adjourned. Thank you for your time.